Hi, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the broadcast, where we give you bite-sized bits of best practices to help you be a better leader and a more effective communicator. And I'm your host, Gerard Braud. So it's the first full week of the new year. People are shaking off the cobwebs of the holidays and trying to get their act together again. And in many organizations, like many individuals do, people set New Year's resolutions. And my goal and my advice would be that you shelve this whole concept of New Year's resolutions and adopt a concept of consistency and continuity. In other words, live a life and a business life where you practice continuous improvement, because the most successful organizations are the ones who continuously improve. Now, if you're watching this video and you're one of the subscribers that follow along or one of the regular viewers, you know that here we focus on crisis communications with the idea of protecting your revenue, your reputation, and your brand. Let me say that again: revenue, reputation, and brand. And the way to do that is to consistently work on the 5 steps to effective crisis communications. I'll go over them quickly so you know where your goals should be based. Step 1, vulnerability assessments, not just initially assessing the situations that could escalate into a crisis, but knowing that once a quarter or once a month, a small team of people get together to see what's new on the horizon. So you can prepare your organization in the event that a situation begins to smolder and escalates to a crisis. Step 2 to the 5 steps to effective crisis communications is to have a crisis communications plan. If you don't already have a plan, then you need to be writing one. I'm happy to help you with that task. If you already have a plan, it has to live on. It has to change. It has to evolve. New communications tools and techniques become available, so that plan has to constantly be adjusted. New people come into the organization. They need orientations on those plans. Step 3 on the 5 steps to effective crisis communications is to have a library of pre-written news releases, but not just the ones that you initially wrote, but to recognize that every time you do a vulnerability assessment and identify a new vulnerability, that a new pre-written crisis communications news release is written, so that if you do have a crisis, instead of writing a new document from scratch, you're editing an existing document and speeding up the effective communications to the media, to your employees, to your customers, to your community, to your stakeholders, and to your social media audiences. Step 4 in the 5 steps to effective crisis communications is to establish annual media training regimens. Media training is not a bucket list item. It is designed to work toward continuous improvement. The trainer has to be responsible for not phoning in a training, but to make the training a little more difficult or a little bit more intricate each year. And that each time a spokesperson has to do an interview, a colleague works with them to do some sort of a lower level but good preparation and training for that specific interview. And step 5 to the 5 steps of effective crisis communications is to do at least 1 crisis communications drill a year, and to make sure that it's on the calendar for this year and next and the year after that, because ultimately you want that continuity. And I know many of you do drills already, but I want to make sure that this year you're adding in news conferences that are very realistic, that you're creating mock social media noise that is very realistic, because in a real crisis, those things would actually happen. Your business will be more profitable. You will protect your revenue, you will protect your reputation, and you will protect your brand when you adopt continuity and consistency in the 5 steps for effective crisis communications. If I can be of assistance, if you need to chat, if you need a nudge, if you need an accountability buddy, reach out to me so that we can set you on a path to continuous improvement. I hope that this year you do not have any crises, but if a crisis arrives, I want to make sure that you know you have the tools in place to effectively communicate with your key audiences. For the broadcast, I'm Gerard Braud.